Welcome back to Arsenal News TV, and today we're going to look at how Arsenal could line up versus West Brom. And today we're going to talk about a game that is very irrelevant, there's no need to talk about, but for my duties and just to make sure I please you guys, I'm going to say how Arsenal could line up versus West Brom. And we're going to go straight into the formation. And is Mikel going to go with a 3-4-3 formation? Is he going to go with a 4-1-4-1 formation? What formation is Mikel going to go with? And we clearly see in the game versus Villarreal in the second leg, Mikel went with a 4-1-4-1, or even some people might say a 4-3-3, with a defensive midfielder like a Thomas Partey and two attacking midfielders like Emil Smith-Rowe and Martin Odegaard. You can clearly see that didn't work out for the Gunners. Mikel said that reason was behind the fact that Xhaka was going to be playing as a back three, maybe with Kieran Tierney coming on later on, but with Granit Xhaka apparently coming off just before the match, it led to Mikel tactics going wrong, and it led to Kieran Tierney going in that position and let Thomas Partey a bit isolated in that midfield, and he was doing a two-man job by himself. And you can clearly see that he was making a lot of sloppy mistakes in that match. But for me, every time I think of that match, it just gives me a depression, it gives me a little bit of sadness, and I can't think about that anymore because we have to move on as Arsenal fans. We have to go for bigger things. We have to go for this big project they're talking about, this big process. Let's see what's going to happen. The future will only tell where we'll be in 2-3 years time. So we have to wait and see what happens. But for me, when it comes to this match, we have to take it seriously. You know why? Every match is important. I don't care if the season is done. For me, this is the best way to see which players you want to keep, which players you want to sell. And that's the way I'm going to say it from now on. The last remaining games in the Premier League, we have no chance of making it into European qualification. But just for a little bit of pride, there's no pride at all, but just a tiny little bit of pride, at least get higher up in the places and not finish in 9th position. And in terms of Mikel Arteta, this is his opportunity because it looks like he's going to be backed until the start of next season, so we have to wait and see. The Cronkies are saying that they're putting full back in Mikel Arteta. You guys haven't checked it out, then check it out. I put few videos regarding that earlier today. And in terms of Mikel Arteta, he is someone that got his tactics wrong against Villarreal. It was a poor performance. We got done by good evening. And in terms of Mikel Arteta, he went with that 4-1-4-1 formation, and I think I've been calling that formation like ever since he joined as manager, maybe after we signed Thomas Partey, because I think that formation is a formation that could really work with the Gunners, but he was trying things out at the wrong time in my opinion, and I can't lie about that. He is trying things wrong time in my opinion. He tried the false nine in the first leg. He's trying this defensive midfielder thing in the second leg. And everyone has been blaming that he's been copying Pep Guardiola's tactics. But really and truly, when it comes to Thomas Partey, he is a defensive midfielder. You can see that he knows how to put a tackle, he knows how to make a block. But he is someone that also has attacking abilities, but he wasn't able to show that at Atletico Madrid. But will Mikel Arteta retain with that 4-3-3 formation? For me, I think he really should. If you want to go with an attacking lineup, if you want to go with the lineup under Wenger, where we were very dominant with the ball, we always had the possession of the ball, we made things happen. If we want to go back to that philosophy, we need a defensive midfielder and two ahead of him. Because when we had, like, say, Aaron Ramsey and Mesut Ozil, both of them played like a sort of a number 10 role, but Aaron Ramsey used to come a little bit deeper. So Mikel Arteta has a lot of things to worry about. I think he should go with this 4-3-3 formation from now on. He took at least an opportunity to try it versus Villarreal. It was the wrong timing, but at least he knows that he could try this formation. Hopefully he didn't try it because Pep Guardiola tries it, but I really do think this is a formation Mikel Arteta could make a lot of use of. But for this game, I think he's going to refer back to that 4-2-3-1 formation. You saw that Mikel Arteta went with the 3-4-3 last campaign because he knew that our defence was shocking. But now our attack looks shocking. And I think when he did go with that 4-1-4-1 formation or 4-3-3 formation, however you guys want to call it, for that formation, I think it's much more attacking. Because we haven't been scoring goals. We have been conceding a lot of goals at home. We haven't been performing at home. So we have a lot of things to worry about in this game. Because let's put this our home record to bed now. It's done. But we need to get a win against West Brom, only for our pride, only for the players to see which players should we keep, which players should we sell. That's the way I'm going to see it. And in terms of the formation, we're going to stick with the 4-2-3-1 formation. So in terms of the goalkeeper, it's either between Bernd Leno or Matt Ryan for Mikel Arteta. There has been talk that Mikel Arteta is looking for a replacement to Bernd Leno. Bernd Leno's future may be really uncertain at the moment. There's a possibility he could leave, but there's also a possibility that he could stay as well. And the opportunity with Bernd Leno is the fact that he could leave or stay, and there's a 50-50 chance either happening. Many pundits have called that Bernd Leno has been poor. They don't see him as a top-level goalkeeper, including Arsenal legends. So for me, I've always backed Bernd Leno. I think he is a decent goalkeeper. But ever since Emiliano Martinez, I'm sorry to bring it back to you guys, but ever since Emiliano Martinez had that campaign in the FA Cup, had that campaign after Bernd Leno was injured, I started to wonder, is Bernd Leno the right man in goal? And I've started to learn that after now listen to you guys. I do listen to you guys to a large extent. I do have my own values as well, but I think my values are wrong. I thought let's trust this process under Mikel Arteta. I did call it back in the days that we should sack him. I did see some improvements, but then I'm back to the same thing, should we sack him? Many people might say let's sack him. I'm like 80 to 20% sure, 80 to 20%, 80% maybe sack him, 20% keep him. And that 20% is a little bit of positivity, a little bit of thought saying that we should trust the process. Just this one summer transfer window. We know that nothing's going to happen in the next summer. We're not going to have no European football next season. But this summer transfer window, let's see what Mikel Arteta is talking about. He's talking in his press conference the fact that I'm still in this job for a reason. He didn't get sacked. He even knows that he could have easily got sacked. But there's something about him in this summer transfer window which he has been talking about ever since last summer transfer window. We can clearly see that there's going to be a massive overhaul. And we can see that he's going to be ruthless. And he's going to get rid of players that are not good enough. And I see these 4 games as major games for this player to say, if you play well, you stay. If you don't play, then you get out of it. Because for me, these players had a whole season to perform, and they finished right now in 9th position. For me, anyone that performs well from now on gets an opportunity, gets a look in. But if you've been performing really well from the beginning, like the youngsters, you know they are going to stay. But certain players that are on the fringe of should we keep or should we stay, for me, we have to take it step by step, see how they're performing in these games. If they perform bad, take them out. Because we have to be ruthless. And the goalkeeper position, Bernd Leno made a key mistake versus Everton. If he did and concede that goal, and we maybe would have scored against Everton, we may have had an opportunity to make it into the top 6 positions. But knowing Arsenal, they are not going to be in the European positions this season. We're not going to be playing European football. We're talking about a massive overhaul in the squad. There's nothing in Mikel Arteta's CV that says that players should come to Arsenal. If we bring in like Allegri, we know that Allegri has the pedigree. He has the Champions Leagues. He's got the Champions League finals that he's been to, but he wasn't able to win. He's got the Serie A titles. He's got a lot of trophies behind his name. But as Mikel Arteta, we only got this FA Cup to rely upon. I don't know where the good is. Stan Kroenke and Josh Kroenke, Stan Kroenke particularly, he brought in Mikel Arteta, because he will be on a cheap. He will be on a £7 million per year. You see Jose Mourinho at Tottenham, £20 million. You see Thomas Tuchel at Chelsea. They are worth much more than how much how much Mikel Arteta was brought in to think that he's going to be the next big thing. We're going to have a massive project. So we have a lot of things to think about. And if you're an Arsenal fan right now, you're probably in 3, 4, 5 different minds right now. Because I think of one thing right now, then I think of another thing another day. And my mind just keeps circulating, and it's just giving me stress at the end of the day. But in terms of Bernd Leno in goal, I think that's what Mikel Arteta is going to go with. I'd love to see Matt Ryan. I'm saying if Bernd Leno doesn't perform this game, we should sell him. Because he's on the fringe for me. Bernd Leno is on the fringe. We either sell him or we either keep him. Because there's other players that have been linked with the Gunners we can get on the cheap, like Andre Onana. And he is someone that is looking like a decent goalkeeper, but he has been in a little bit of a predicament himself. He's out for 1 year maybe. He'll only be returning to football in June because of this doping thing that he's been involved in. And he might be a suitable option. I haven't seen much of him, but when I've seen him, he does look good for the Ajax. But would he be back to match fitness? Would he be back to that same level he was back at Ajax just all those months ago that he hasn't been playing football? We'll have to wait and see. But in the goalkeeper position, I think Mikel Arteta is going to go with Bernd Leno, because I think Mikel Arteta, we're looking at how Mikel Arteta will line up versus West Brom, and I think he's going to go with Bernd Leno. Now we're going to move into the right back position, and we know that Mikel Arteta went with Hector Bellerin in the game versus Villarreal. He was poor. Every single pass he didn't complete. One or two passes that completed made it difficult for the player that received the ball to do something about it. So for Hector Bellerin, I think for me, we sell him at the end of the season. £22 million is talking about. That's £22 million right there. Sell him to either PSG or Barcelona. I don't know what they see in Hector Bellerin that we don't see, but he's awful in my opinion. He is awful. I'm sorry about the Hector Bellerin. I love the guy in terms of his personality, in terms of what he does off the pitch. I like him as a person. If me and Bernd Leno, not Hector Bellerin, got to know each other, I'll probably say I love the guy. But in terms of his footballing abilities, I don't think he's at that level. Let's be honest here. I've seen him for enough time. I think he didn't reach his potential like he was meant to back in the days. When he first came on, he looked like a bright young boy looking like he's going to reach new things, new levels, but injuries prevented his growth. It stunted his growth. But for me, in that right back position, Hector Bellerin's time is up at Arsenal. I wish the guy all the best. I love the guy. But for me, he doesn't work it at Arsenal. And in that right back position, we only have two players left. That's Callum Chambers and Cedric Suarez. And my biggest question is, why doesn't Mikel Arteta play Cedric Suarez? I don't know what he's done wrong. I don't know, maybe one little poor game. I remember when he had that connection with him and nicolas Pepe in that game versus so many games like Southampton where they were playing really well. I don't know what's wrong with Mikel Arteta. That's his signing, one of his first signings, Cedric Suarez. And he doesn't play him, and he thinks Callum Chambers is ahead of him. Callum Chambers has been poor in the last few games. I think he does the basics well. He doesn't cause a lot of problems, but he needs to create an influence on the team. There's no point just being there like a bystander, just doing the basic things, just passing the ball about, doing your defending. But you have to create an influence on the team. You have to inspire the players. You have to inspire us fans. And I think Cedric Suarez has that in him. He's someone that will make a run. He's someone that will take a shot. There's something that you don't know what he's going to do. There's that surprise element from Cedric Suarez. But with Callum Chambers, you know what you're going to get. He's going to run until the end of the byline, but the ball comes to him and a cross into the box. Anything, gets the ball, cross into the box. You're not going to see him cut inside, cut outside, cut inside, cut outside, and maybe take a shot. Get the ball, put a cross into the box. And that's all we saw from him. But even though in the game against West Ham he looked sensational, but that's what he was pretty much doing as well. He ran. I thought he caught him in attack at the one point, but he was attacking very well. But he runs and just gives a nice cross, and that's it pretty much from Callum Chambers. And for me, Cedric Suarez is someone that you don't know what he's going to do. Would he underlap? Would he overlap? With Callum Chambers, you're pretty much going to see him overlap 24/7 of the time. But when it comes to Cedric Suarez, he's someone that's quick. I mean someone that's quick now. If you want to play fast attacking football, if you want to play with fullbacks that are going to be attacking, why not go with Cedric Suarez? But I think for Mikel Arteta's predicted lineup, I think he's going to go with Callum Chambers in that right back position. So now we're going to move into the right centre back position, and this is where Mikel Arteta can either choose David Luiz or Rob Holding. David Luiz did return to training on the game before versus Villarreal, but he had some ice pack on his knee. I think he was just brought in as a fluff to give that Unai Emery some pragmatic issues. We all know that Unai Emery is very pragmatic. If he sees David Luiz, he's thinking, okay, is Mikel Arteta going to go with David Luiz or Rob Holding? David Luiz or Rob Holding? He stays up and thinks a lot and overthinks a lot, and then he leaves the problems. But Mikel Arteta didn't do anything at all. We couldn't score just one goal, and every time I think about that, it's just giving me stress. So let's not talk about that game anymore, hopefully. But in that right centre-back position, I think he's going to go with Rob Holding, given the fact that I think Luiz is still injured. And in terms of Rob Holding, they've given him a new contract. Okay, they've given him a new contract. When he was playing a little bit well, gave him a new contract. And now, we have to see if he can actually make an influence. Can he actually perform in these last few games, because he's going to get a run in. For me, if he doesn't perform, he gets sold, in my opinion. For me, if he doesn't perform, we can sell him 15 to 20 million pounds maybe. Is that too little or is that too high? I don't know. But that's something that I'm looking for as an estimate. Please sell him or loan him out, because I think he didn't look that amazing. He does the basics well. Yeah, he does the basic well, but I want to look at a centre-back and just be surprised. I want to see some inspiration. We don't have that in our team. There's no inspiration. When you look at a team like Manchester City, you don't know, maybe a Ruben Diaz might do something. Maybe a John Stones might make a run and then take a shot. We don't see that with Rob Holding. You know that he's just going to sit back in that defence position, stay on that line. When the ball comes, he makes one or two passes, makes it look like he's doing some sick pass, but it's just to your right back or to your left centre back. There's no passes where he puts a nice pass right into the feet of the attacker. You see him put those lofted passes to Bukayo Saka, but that's all you see him in his game. You need players that are very good on the ball, and Rob Holding for me is not amazing on the ball. We need players that can create stuff, because most of the build-up play now starts from our goalkeeper, it starts from our defence. But really, I'm going a bit too negative right now, guys. You probably can tell, but this team needs a massive overhaul, and we need one man back, and that's William Saliba. This guy hasn't been dribble past, by the way. In League he hasn't been dribble past. He wasn't dribble past. He was only dribble past like 3 times when we bought him from St. Etienne. And Nicolas didn't even give him a look in. So that's where my problem lies with Nicolas. I'd say his bias, his decisions sometimes are just completely wrong. But I'm not the manager, he is the manager. So we have to trust in his process. We have to trust in this process, and we have to see what will happen in the future. For me, he's got until December to impress me. Okay, I'm giving you guys, you know how I mentioned at the start, that 20%. That 20% for me, it says keep Arteta. That 20% is also telling me that we'll give him until the end of the season. If I'm going to, like a lemon, trust this process and believe in Mikel Arteta because I have no other options, then I'm going to believe in him. And that's only 20% of me. 80%, I don't know, guys. I'm really in a different situation. I try to take the positives of everything, but for me, Mikel Arteta, he's talking about massive overhaul in the squad. He's going to be ruthless in the summer transfer window. Let's see. He talked the talk, but now it's time for you to walk the walk. He did talk the talk in the January transfer window. He said he's going to get rid of players, and he's going to have a few players. And he did get rid of a lot of players, like Mr. Ozil, Socrates, all these players gone. Yeah, Mustafi, gone. That's something I was impressed about Mikel Arteta. But now, he's got this opportunity. They're backing him in this summer. They're going to talk about the summer transfer window. They're going to back him. Let's see what happens now. That's what happens. Let's see. So in that left centre-back position, we got either Pablo Mari or Gabriel Magalhaes. For me, these two players deserve to be at Arsenal. For me, I have no problems with these two players at all. I've been calling it ever since day one when these two players were here, were available, ready for contention. Play both of them together. But no one's going to listen to me. I'm not the manager of Arsenal. But in that position, I think it's either Gabriel Magalhaes or Pablo Mari. Pablo Mari played in the game versus Villarreal. So pretty much Gabriel Magalhaes plays in the game versus West Brom. So now we're going to move into the left back position, and this time Mikel Arteta can go with Kieran Tierney, given the fact that he's back in contention. You know he wasn't match fit at all in the game versus Villarreal. He didn't make those runs that he usually does, because if he pulls a hamstring or something, that's it. So Kieran Tierney was brought in. He was playing more of a left centre back sort of role, and he was playing more. He was sitting back more than attacking forward. But he has the opportunity now to attack forward in the game. The previous game we had against West Brom, he scored that all-important goal. He gives him that inspiration. That's what I'm talking about. I don't see that from Callum Chambers. But with Kieran Tierney, he might make a run forward. He might do something. He might actually create something. And that's what I see with Kieran Tierney. But in that left-back position, I'm happy with going with Kieran Tierney. And that's what I think Mikel Arteta is going to go with. Now we're going to move into the right centre-mid position. And I feel very sorry for this man. And his name is Thomas Partey, and Partey was given the opportunity to play in a 1 with 2 attacking midfielders. Really, he wasn't familiar in that position at all. He was making sloppy passes. He didn't have one of his best games, and it keeps biting me back to this one thing his former teammates said about him, was the fact that Saul Niguez said that he's very inconsistent, and it's starting to show in his performances. In the time that he's played right now, he hasn't looked amazing. Sometimes he looks good, sometimes he looks poor, and he has one thing that has been inconsistent. So if Arsenal made a mistake signing Thomas Partey, we will have to wait and see. Because we were all happy when Thomas Partey signed for Arsenal. But for me, I think we had Thomas Partey. We know we needed that aggressive midfielder in that midfield, someone that looks like the Patrick Vieira. But Thomas Partey, has he lived up to that potential? Nowhere near it at the moment. Hopefully he does improve a lot. We have him for a lot of years. And many people have been questioning Arsenal signing him. But I think he's a top level midfielder. He just needs the minutes. He needs better players around him. And then we'll start to see the best of Thomas Partey. Maybe we need just a new manager, because Thomas Partey is a top level player. But under a poor manager like Mikel Arteta, maybe, he's been struggling. Now we're going to move into the left centre mid position, and I'll probably say straight away Granit Xhaka. But he is someone that limped off just before the match, and he had an injury, so he won't be featuring in this match. So you either got El Neni or Dani Ceballos, and Dani Ceballos was given the opportunity in the game versus, he was partnering El Neni, but El Neni looked decent in the previous game versus Newcastle United, so I think Mikel Arteta is going to go with El Neni, given the fact he's more determined. He is someone that will put his heart, he will play 100%, he will put everything he loves about this club into the team. And for me, Mohamed El Neni is someone that I don't mind playing, in my opinion, because we had all the options. But for me, I would love to see that 4-1-4-1 formation, but knowing Mikel Arteta, how he's going to line up Arsenal, I think he's going to go with this formation and go with Mohamed El Neni in that left centre position. Now we're going to move into the centre attacking midfield position in that number 10 role. It's two players we can either choose from. We can choose Smith Rowe, or we can choose Martin Odegaard. And for me, Mikel Arteta is probably going to go with Emil Smith Rowe, given the fact that Smith Rowe is someone that actually wanted to create something. He's probably the man of the match out of all the Arsenal players there. He created something. He is someone that cared about the match. Saka was poor, let's be honest. Saka was poor. He's a young lad, so let's not criticise him. Smith Rowe is young as well, but he's a year or two older than Saka. He has a little bit more responsibility, and he did show in the game versus Villarreal. But the players around him didn't have the same determination, the same passion. The manager didn't have it from the first minutes. A lot of things went wrong that match, but we can't do anything about it. So in that number 10 role, I'm going to go with Smith Rowe in that position. So now we're moving into the right winger role. And this is where I think Mikel Arteta has one man to choose from, one man that deserves a rest in my opinion, but I think Mikel Arteta is going to go with him, and his name is Bukayo Saka. And with Bukayo Saka, he is someone that is decent, he is someone that can create things. If he has an easy opponent in the form of West Brom, they're sitting 19th, 18th in the league. So Mikel Arteta has an opportunity for Bukayo Saka to just rip that team apart. The last game we played them, we won 4-0, so hopefully Mikel Arteta's boys can do that this time round, and I think in that right winger role, we're going to go with Bukayo Saka. Now in the left winger role, Mikel Arteta can either choose Gabriel Martinelli, he can choose lots of players, but I think this time he's going to go with nicolas Pepe again, given the fact that he needs a little bit more confidence. He was someone that did make things happen in my opinion, but he didn't have the ball a lot to create things happen. And for me, nicolas Pepe plays in that position. Someone that has the opportunity to play in that left winger role as well. So we have to wait and see if nicolas Pepe will play, and I think he will probably might be given the opportunity to play in that left winger role. And you guys can probably tell that this match is so useless that I still don't know why I'm making this video. So I'm so sorry guys if you're watching this until now, but for me, I think it's just the duty of me to do this video. We have to do it. We are going to watch the match. We know we are all Arsenal fans at the end of the day, and we're going to see our team perform. And in that position, I'm going to go with left winger nicolas Pepe. Now in the striker role, I'm going to go with one man, and his name is Pierre Emerick Aubameyang. He was someone that wanted to make things happen. He did have one or two chances, and he made the most of it like a top-level striker will. He needs more minutes, in my opinion. He needs his time now. He's had all these personal problems, so many problems in his game, so many problems this season. Let's put all that to bed now. We finished this season strongly, even though there's nothing to perform, and we go into that summer transfer window getting a lot of players rid and a lot of new players in. And in that number 9 role, in the striker role, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is going to go that. He mentioned it to Mikel Arteta. He said in his latest press conference where his favourite position is playing in that striker role. So this is how I think how Mikel Arteta is going to line up Arsenal versus West Brom. And I think in this lineup, if I was going to go with my predicted lineup, I'll first of all change the formation. I'll go with a 4-1-4-1 formation he went with Villarreal. He tested it, but I think he should go with that formation now. He's made the test, but it's time for him to play that formation. In the goalkeeper, I don't mind Matt Ryan or Bernd Leno. For me, I see both of them equally, so I don't mind who he chooses out of both of them. In the right back spot, I'll rather go with Cedric Suarez. In the right centre back position, I'll go with Pablo Mori. In the left back, Kieran Tierney, that's fine. Gabriel Magalhaes, that's fine. And in the right centre mid and left centre mid, that won't happen. I'll have one centre mid, and that's going to be Thomas Partey. Even though it didn't work out the first time versus Villarreal, I think Mikel Arteta should go with that formation, stick with that formation. Thomas Partey needs to learn that formation and learn that position, because he should be having the ability to control the midfield by himself. We know he has the talent. He now has to have more responsibility on the pitch. And in that middle, I'll go with Thomas Partey. With the two that goes ahead of him, I'll go with Smith Rowe on the right or the left, and Martin Odegaard in the right number 8 row or number 10 row. With two wingers, I'm going to go with Nicolas Pepe on the right and Gabriel Martinelli on the left. Give Bukayo Saka a rest. Give him a rest because that was a poor performance versus Villarreal. And Nicolas Pepe on the right and Gabriel Martinelli, who always deserves to start in my opinion, on the left. And in the number 9 row, I'll go with Pierre, Emerick, Aubameyang as well. And for me, this is a test. This is a test for Mikel Arteta to go with which player. Because I said Gabriel Martinelli in the left winger role, and Kieran Tierney and Gabriel Martinelli, as mentioned before, if you guys haven't checked that out, I put a video regarding what Mikel Arteta's issue is with Gabriel Martinelli, and that's his relationship with Kieran Tierney. But it's time to learn your trade. These are the games you can learn the trade, because these games don't matter at all, and you can test things out, in my opinion, trial things out, try different formations, try different tactics, see what works out, and this is the opportunity to do that, because this is pretty much a pre-season now for the Gunners, and they should be able to try as much as possible. Which players do you want to keep? Like El Neni is a fringe player, Rob Holding is a fringe player, Callum Chambers is a fringe player, maybe Nicolas Pepe is a fringe player. So there's a lot of things we can get rid of these players if we want to, and these are performances we have to see. Do they really care about this club? And let's see what they do. But other than that, guys, remain blessed. Stay tuned for the next video, and peace.